Today we are installing disc brakes and rotors on the old Yellowstone trailer complements of Kodiak Trailer Components. Disc brakes have been used in the automobile industry since the early 50s. They offer better stopping performance than conventional drum brakes and in my opinion should be used on all trailers. Since we are switching to hydraulic disc brakes, we also need an electric hydraulic brake actuator. This is the ActuLink electric hydraulic actuator by Tucson RV Brakes. We'll mount the actuator on the front of the trailer, and when we combine it with this DirecLink network enhanced brake controller by Tucson, you have a two-way data network with amazing proportional trailer braking that also allows you to monitor the status of your towable braking system like never before. Well, the first piece of the puzzle is complete. We have our axle installed, and now it's time to install our disc brakes complements of Kodiak Trailer Components. The first step to mounting our disc brakes is to install our hub, and to do that we have to pack our wheel bearings with grease and then install the inner bearing and our inner seal, and then we can mount the hubs on the spindles. All right, when I was a mechanic in the military, I probably packed over 1,000 of these wheel bearings with grease. And the key to packing a wheel bearing is to get the grease to go from the bottom of the bearing up through the rollers and come out the top. And when you see it coming out the top all the way around, then you've got a well-packed bearing. So the way we're going to do that is I'm going to put some grease right there on my hand. And I'm just going to take the bearing and I'm going to work it in until you actually see the grease coming up through between the rollers. And then we're just going to drop that bearing in the hub. Okay, we've got our inner bearing in, and now it's time to install our inner seal. And basically, you want to get it started even all the way around the hub. And then you just want to it flush with the hub. And that's going to keep our grease in the hub and keep the dirt out. So we're going to do that on the other side. Up. Okay, before we can actually mount our hub and our rotor, we have to put our brake flange on. And we're just going to bolt that onto the axle and then torque it to the specs in the manual. We're just going to slide our hub right over. Real nice. Get the bearing to slide in on the spindle like that. We'll go ahead and put our washer and our nut on the spindle. What we want to do is we want to seat our bearing. Basically, you just tighten the spindle nut, spin the hub, give those bearings a chance to seat. And we don't want it this tight because you could prematurely wear your bearings in bearing races. So at this point, you just want to back it off. What we don't want is we don't want any play in the bearing, but we want the rotor hub to spin freely. Okay, then drop our cotter pin in place. That keeps our spindle nut from backing off at all. All right, our cap will keep the grease in and the dirt out. we're just gonna slide it right on. Take our bolts from the back, just hand tighten them for now, snug them up, and then we're going to torque them to the specs, 40 to 50 foot-pounds. Part 2 of our brake conversion is complete. We have our new axle and disc brakes installed on the old Yellowstone trailer. Now we need some way to make our electric and hydraulic brakes work when we hit the brake pedal in the tow vehicle. That's where the electric hydraulic actuator by Tucson RV Brakes comes in. We will install the actuator on the front of the trailer, run some brake lines to the brake calipers, bleed the system, and we'll be one step closer to taking the old Yellowstone on its first camping trip. Just ran down to the local industrial supply shop and had some flexible rubber brake lines made. And the reason we did that is because we don't want the steel brake lines to go directly to our brake calipers. When the wheel is moving up and down as you travel down the road, you don't want to take a chance of that steel line breaking. So we'll connect this flexible line and that'll take care of that problem. Okay, we have to extend some of our wiring from the ActuLink wiring harness so we can get to our trailer wires. And basically, the brakes on your trailer or RV are only as good as your wire connections, and that's why we opted to solder all of our connections so we don't compromise our wiring. Okay, our installation of our ActuLink is actually completed. We still have to bleed the brakes, and right now we want to test our breakaway switch. We just installed the breakaway, and to test it, all I'm going to do is pull the pin, and the ActuLink should build up full pressure for about 20 seconds, then it should drop off to a lower pressure, which is what would actually activate the brakes in the event that this pin got pulled when you're towing the trailer. So we're going to pull the pin, we should hear it come on, and it'll let us know if it's working. Okay, our breakaway is working. Now we can go ahead and bleed the brakes, and we're one step closer to towing the trailer for the first time. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bleed the brakes, and we're going to start with bleeding the ActuLink. It's similar to bleeding the brakes on a car. You're trying to get all the air out of the system so the brakes will work properly. Since we're not hooked up to the tow vehicle and plugged in, we can't activate the brakes using our brake controller or foot pedal. So we're going to use our breakaway again to assist in bleeding the brakes. And this will produce some high pressure, so we want to make sure that we've got our tubing down inside some brake fluid in our jug. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my pin, and then I'm going to open my bleeder valve about a half a turn, and we should see some air coming in here. We don't want to take a chance of letting our brake fluid run dry, so we're going to go ahead and top it off, and then we'll do it again, and I think we've got most of the air out of there. The only step left to complete our new trailer braking system is to install our network-enhanced DirecLink brake controller. This will give us a digital two-way data network that will send braking data to the ActuLink actuator, letting me know the exact status of the towable brake system whenever I'm towing the trailer. And the final result is amazing proportional trailer braking. Let's install it right now. Now that's a braking system. I can assure you one thing, when it's time to stop, the old Yellowstone will stop on a dime. And I have the most advanced network towing diagnostics available right at my fingertips. For more information on disc brakes, the ActuLink electric hydraulic actuator, and the network-enhanced DirecLink brake controller, visit www.kodiaktrailer.com and www.directlink.com.